Some days I'd be willing to trade my man for a really good what?
Pool boy.
Occasionally, I'd exchange my person for a great, what cool kid she caught her sweetheart when I saw I quit breathing. He halted the show. Truly, hello, everybody. It appears as though there's some serious dramatization unfurling among Steve and Marjorie. Harvey rumors from far and wide suggest that Marjorie betrayed Steve not once yet 2 times with 2 distinct folks, and in the event that that is not chaotic enough, Twitter is humming with tattle that she may be preparing for a separation, going for the gold cut of Steve's abundance. Yet, here's the kicker: Marjorie's girl, Lori, is obviously agreeing with her mother's position and pointing fingers at Steve for being a terrible spouse. Could you at any point trust to so what precisely improved? Keep close by on the grounds that what you're going to hear will be all in all a stunner. Music, okay, applause. What you all doing, okay, people? You're presumably mindful of the multitude of talks encompassing Steve Harvey and Marjorie's marriage, right? It's been a oddly debated issue for some time, and many have addressed assuming it's truly essentially as wonderful as it appears to be. Well, clutch your seats in light of the fact that the new disclosures have been out and out up stunning. Various sources are saying that Marjorie has been associated with the few unique men, including Steve's protector and their own cook. Well, that is all in all a sensation, particularly considering Steve's standing as a relationship master. He's even informed Individuals magazine as of late that Marjorie totally changed his view on connections and marriage. He conceded that he had never been steadfast or in a really sound grown-up relationship before. Marjorie, might you at any point accept it? This man just admitted to being a remarkable miscreant for quite a while now. Here's where things get truly fascinating. The doubts about their marriage didn't simply emerge from flimsy air. It's all attached to their fairly exceptional past and how their relationship unfurled. Steve and Marjorie E's story starts thinking back to the 1990 E's, and it resembled a romantic tale straight out of a film. Basically, for Steve, they run into each other when Marjorie went to one of Steve's parody shows, and he was stricken at every turn, except we can't say without a doubt the way that Marjorie had an outlook on him. In those days, they kept in contact for half a month, yet Marjorie, in the long run, chose not to seek after the relationship any further. Why, you ask? Well, here's the succulent part. Around then, Steve was a striving humorist attempting to earn a living wage. He hadn't exactly raised a ruckus around town yet. Marjorie, then again, had been associated with not one yet 2 street pharmacists who gave her rich gifts and heaps of money. So she wasn't going to agree to somebody who didn't have the monetary security she was utilized to. Significantly, really captivating that both Steve and Marjorie were at that point wedded at that point, yet their relationships didn't hold up traffic of what was to come next. Now, here's where it gets considerably more chaotic. At the time, Steve was hitched to Mary Shackelford, and she had been unquestionably strong of his vocation. She had even contributed, as long as she can remember, investment funds to assist him with setting up his absolute first satire club. Yet when Steve made progress, he abandoned Mary. Concerning Marjorie, did you had any idea about that? Steve is her third husband. That's right. You heard that right. Before Steve, she had been hitched to 2 different street pharmacists, so it's not shocking that when Steve was battling monetarily, Marjorie wasn't intrigued. Her most memorable husband was a man named Jim Townsend, who was likewise the dad of her initial 2 youngsters. Sadly, Jim caused problems when he attempted to purchase an incredible 40 kilos of unlawful substances. Things got considerably more tangled when we take a gander at Marjorie's past. While she was expecting her second kid, Jason, specialists thought her inclusion in Jim's criminal operations anyway. She denied any bad behavior, and Jim even took a supplication arrangement to demonstrate her innocence. Not long after Jim was condemned to jail, Marjorie separated from him. Yet the show didn't stop there. Marjorie then wedded one more man, Darnell Woods, who was accepted to be Lori's natural dad, yet very much like Jim, Darnell likewise ended up in legitimate difficulty, and by Marjorie separated from him after he went to jail. So you can see the reason why individuals have a misgivings about her set of experiences with 2 street pharmacists, her underlying hesitance to date Steve when he was battling, and her undertaking with him while he was as yet hitched, have left a few people scrutinizing her expectations. Many keep thinking about whether she would have allowed Steve an opportunity on the off chance that he hadn't turned into the tycoon he is today yet. Regardless of any questions, Steve was elated whenever Marjorie gave their relationship another opportunity. They secured the bunch in 2007, and it's a well-known fact that Steve is overwhelmed with passion for her, giving her costly gifts and extravagances. What's really striking is that Steve lawfully embraced Marjorie's youngsters, giving them his last name. Marjorie's thinking behind this choice was to remove her children from their organic dad's criminal operations, particularly since those fathers were carrying out jail punishments. She believed her youngsters should have a new beginning, and having a rich new mentor made it far superior. We should not neglect to make reference to the amount Steve reveres her children, particularly Lori. Many have seen that it's very clear Steve loves Lori considerably more than his own organic kids. Now, Lori, what do you need to say? One of my 1 minutes was the point at which I was around 15 years of age, and I let you know I needed to begin dating, so, you took me on one of our yearly dad-girl dates to my #1 Japanese eatery, and you recently began conversing with me about folks, and you just let me know that you know generally upheld me, and you continuously show up for me, come what may, and you cherish me genuinely, and I super value you for that. Steve's profound love for Marjorie is certain he deals with her and her children monetarily, going to the extent that giving her kids his last name and guaranteeing they are remembered for his will. This degree of responsibility is momentous anyway. When bits of gossip coursed that Marjorie might have been untrustworthy to their marriage, it made all in all a mix. Some couldn't resist the opportunity to review the expressing out loud whatever circumvents comes around, particularly considering Steve's own set of experiences of treachery in past relationships. What adds an extraordinary contort to this present circumstance is the supposed inclusion of Steve's guardian. Curiously, the protector played had an influence in rejoining Marjorie and Steve. After years separated, Stephen recently shared that his body recalled Marjorie and urged him to seek after a relationship with her, since she was the person who made him truly blissful. So it was amazing to discover that a similar man who had once united them was currently purportedly having an unsanctioned romance with Marjorie. Reports even recommend that Marjorie may be preparing for a separation, looking for a portion of Steve's riches, and in the event that you figured the show couldn't get any more extreme support yourself for this purportedly Marjorie is focusing on a significant repayment. She's apparently looking for an incredible 50% of Steve's surprising $400 million total assets, which means an eye-popping $200 million in her separation appeal. She has affirmed that Steve was faithless and was associated with conjugal wrongdoing. Yet that is not all. She's additionally planning to get essential guardianship of their two most youthful youngsters, Winton and Carly. The stunning, fresh insight about this supposed issue caused, all in all, a disturbance online, with individuals examining and studying Steve and Marjorie. Accordingly, Steve has approached to deny these charges, saying music applause. Even Marjorie took to her Instagram to address these bits of hearsay composing my significant other, and I don't typically stop to address all the stupidity and untruths that have been spread about us anyway. To whom much is given, much is required. I comprehend it. With my foundation comes some kind of obligation to the individual who may not be areas of strength for however we may be. Anyway, the story doesn't finish up right now. As per reports, Marjorie's girl Lori seems, by all accounts, to be somewhat disappointed with Steve's treatment of the circumstance. She feels that he might have moved forward sooner to safeguard Marjorie's standing and keep these reports from picking up speed, which consequently prompted her confronting unforgiving analysis. Online sources guaranteed that Lori emphatically accepted Steve ought to have made a quick move to suppress these tales, as opposed to permitting them to wait for a really long time prior to answering. This defer in resolving the issue has apparently caused rubbing inside the family. In spite of Steve's refusal, a few fans have a few doubts and have left remarks communicating their questions. One fan composed, he said, "I'm fine. He never said the bits of hearsay were bogus, so it is valid. It happened." Someone else ringed in and said, "Stand by. Does that mean the tales is genuine?" Still would rather not completely accept that it until I get a nearby hit-up data. Someone else states, "Definitely that is not actually closing down any bits of hearsay. Appears as though he's letting us know he's fine, regardless of what she's finished, so who realizes, who can truly get out whatever's occurring in the background in the Harvey family." While certain people are persuaded that Marjorie cheated and Steve was in the loop, others are throwing around the hypothesis that perhaps Steve is putting on a front, shielding his better half's honor, since how about we face it, separation can be a monetary humdinger. Yet here's the central issue: what's your interpretation of all of this? Do you figure Marjorie and Steve are going to head out in different directions any day presently? Don't keep us in tension. Offer your considerations in the remarks underneath, and keeping in mind that we enthusiastically anticipate more advancements, make certain to get our next video where we uncover much more. A Hollywood show. Stay tuned.